How did the Chiefs win this ball game against the Jacksonville Jaguars in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs? We're going to tell you right here and now. Welcome to RGR Football. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. This is where we break down the Kansas City Chiefs and the NFL for you. And it starts today, divisional round. They had the bye week. They're in against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, you know, we can do fun things like put up the number 1, but we all know it's really about number 15. And in the end, it's about getting him rolling, efficiency, tempo, execution. I, for one, want to see them come out and not pull any punches. I want to see one type of play in particular, and I'm guessing you know what it is. Pepper, bomb. That's what I'm looking for. What do you see from Patrick Mahomes that we have to have?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they have to do. I want to see a little bit more play action as well with the peppering, because you put the pepper in and then you start to get some of those deep shots off of play action, because the run can only do so much. You still have to make those safeties respect the speed that you have. And we know that MVS is being forced into the role anyway. So they have to be able to find this connection downfield, whether it's him, whether it's, trying to get something going. But Mahomes worked the pocket. He was able to take off on some of these man coverage plays that the Jaguars ran, and he got first downs. If you make them respect your speed, force a spy in the middle of the defense, you can really start peppering anywhere you want to on the opposite sides. You take one defender away, and it adds to what you can do with all your other receivers.
Yeah, you got to put it together as a package. That's the way it always goes. Make sure you like and sub right now, folks. We've got 3 more points for you, and then all the stats that you need to go to get into it. Dan, what's number 2 for you?
So I did talk a little bit about the deep shots, but getting them to the connections properly. Like, this is what we've seen over the last month of the season. The Chiefs have been actively trying to get their deep game going because they've done such a good job of hitting their pepper game. They've done a really, really nice job of complementing getting the ball out quick with Patrick Mahomes. And now they're starting to hit Kadarius Toney down the field. We've seen Travis Kelce can get loose, especially if you put one-on-one with the linebacker, specifically one of these Jags linebackers who aren't very good against tight ends and running backs against coverage. It's not really good for them, so they can find ways to hit them down the field. MVS, I mentioned him. I think he needs to have a huge impact on this game. 1 or 2 deep shots, whether it's going to be one of those outward breaking routes that he's run, or something down the middle of the field. They got to find a way to get the ball to him down the middle, downfield, with at least trying to get everything on the same page. Because you do that, then you add another weapon to the arsenal, which is very, very lethal.
Yeah, and this is the team that Toney stepped out against. So let's see what he can get going on his second run at them. For me, it's about your stars on defense have to come through. We'll talk revenge here in a second. But at the end of the day, it's about pressuring the quarterback. Yes, he's not a rookie anymore. Technically, he actually kind of still is. And as much as I'm impressed with Trevor Lawrence this year, he's got an interior offensive line that can be had over and over and over. And so what does that mean? It means this guy has got to come through. And in particular, what you see in this image is specific. It's Chris Jones getting penetration. Dan did a great breakdown on a singular play before that Dunlap actually helped drag away some of the double potential, as well as George Karlaftis. They all have to come through. But this veteran pair of Jones and Dunlap, I really like in this game, because they're going to be able to get A-gap penetration. They're going to be able to get B-gap penetration. And then as there's overcorrection, I do think what we're going to see after that is going to be Dunlap coming around the edge. I think that's going to be an option. What do you expect from them and GK as well?
Yeah, they've done a great job of scheming up one-on-one matchups. Chris Jones has done a great job at maximizing those one-on-one matchups to the tune of 15 or 16 and a half sacks this season. So he's been able to come away with it. You saw him line up at defensive end a little bit at this game too. Frank Clark didn't play. I'm not sure about his status for the game, but that just kind of tells you that they're ready for it. They had Mike Dana playing as a zero tech all over the defensive line. George Karlaftis, Frank Clark, hopefully. And then you've got, Mike Dana, Carlos Dunlap, Chris Jones. These guys can have to come to play, be able to be at their best. And I think Chris Jones is going to come away in this game with multiple sacks on top of the first sack that he's ever had in the postseason. So let's see that happen.
Hey, let's rip the label off. Get after it. Okay. So what's 4? What's the thing they have to have? And then we'll give you a bonus, folks.
So L'Jarius Sneed against the Jaguars was probably at his worst against Christian Kirk. He gave up 8 catches on 8 targets to the tune of, 95 yards or something like that, and 2 touchdowns against Christian Kirk and the slot receiver. So he's been able to come back strong after this game. He's been playing really, really well. And I would imagine that what you're seeing right here with Christian Kirk scoring a touchdown against him might not exactly be what he wants to happen in this game. So I think that we're going to see a L'Jarius Sneed focused, prepared, and ready to have a little bit of revenge against a team that, let's be honest, kind of ate his lunch the first time around.
Yeah, and I think that was really interesting because I didn't expect that the first time. And then we saw that it's kind of shifted for Jacksonville after the last wild card game to the tight end. To Kirk is still involved, but you're getting more guys with it. So it's about moving around. I'll be really interested to see, do they move Sneed? Does he travel? Is it Kirk or is it someone else? Because I think you're going to see a lot of slot snaps for Kirk. I don't know necessarily if that's where Sneed needs to stay in this particular ball game because there are others. But there's another guy, and I will give you a bonus here because I'm really keyed up about him. This is the game where this guy showed up for the first time in making a big splash. Willie Gay Jr.'s come on as the season's gone on, and they are going to get attacked, the linebackers are. They have designs, not only from the running back and the tight end. They're going to drag, in particular, Kirk through that area to see what they can get, and Willie's got to show up. I like the blitz aspect of it because I'm a blitz happy guy. Yeah. But I think Willie's got a game that can be a difference maker in this particular ball game, with Doug getting a little bit too cute at times and forgetting what athleticism and how tight some of the gaps are that he tries to push. It's going to be about Lawrence to deliver, but how do you see the whole thing going?
Angles. This game is about angles with Travis Etienne and Willie Gay, specifically because we've seen Willie get to the edges. We've seen him square up running backs in open field. You get those angles right, you're more patient. We've seen that coming down the stretch as well. That's where he's at his best. If you can get those angles right, because there's one thing that Travis Etienne can do: erase angles. And when you're as athletic or quick downhill as I keep saying L'Jarius Sneed, he's still in my head. He's still in my head. As Willie Gay is, and even to an extent Nick Bolton and getting to those edges, that's where you have to come short tackle. If he makes you miss and you're the only guy there, guess what? It's going to the house more than likely, more often than not. So it's a game of angles, and this one specifically on the edges, I think these linebackers are going to have to be very quick and decipher the right angle quickly and make some open field tackles for, especially against Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a guy that we haven't talked about this week, although I've been trying to get it into every piece of media that I do. That'll be the X factor, folks. We're going to get to Gary because he's got all the stats that you need to know about how this is going to happen. And then I'm going to give you a bonus probably either tonight or in the morning about what I actually think is my prediction. So stay tuned for that. Like, sub, hit the bell. Here's Gary.
All right, now it's time for the stat primer for this divisional round matchup between the Chiefs and Jaguars. The Chiefs and Jaguars have never faced off in the postseason. This will be their first playoff game against each other. Earlier in the season, these two teams met up in a Week 10 battle where Kansas City controlled most of the game, winning that one by a score of 27-17. The score was 27-10 until a late fourth quarter touchdown, and the Chiefs truly did dominate this game from start to finish. They had more yards, more first downs. They turned the ball over 3 times and still came away with more than a one-score victory. So the Chiefs handled this first matchup pretty well, and hopefully that bodes for good things to come this Saturday versus Jacksonville. Looking at the two teams' offenses, comparing them both, Chiefs are number 1 in terms of yards per play, while the Jaguars are number 7 in the NFL. Passing the ball, the Chiefs have the number 1 ranked passing offense, while the Jaguars have the 11th ranked passing offense. In terms of scoring, the Chiefs score 29.2 points per game, good for first in the NFL, while the Jaguars score 23.8 points per game, good for 10th. This is one of the areas where the Chiefs and Jaguars are both top in the NFL, and that is sack percentage. Both teams have done a great job keeping their quarterbacks clean from getting pressured. So the Chiefs are second in sack percentage on offense, and the Jaguars are 4th in sack percentage on offense. Remember back to that Week 10 game, the Chiefs sacked the Jaguars 5 times. So even though the Jaguars had a really good pass protection on offense, the Chiefs are still able to get to Lawrence 5 times, and you want to hope that happens again. You want to see Chris Jones have another monster game. In terms of third down percentage, the Chiefs have converted 48.7%, good for second in the NFL. The Jaguars have converted 41.9%, good for 9th in the NFL. And then the red zone, the Chiefs are second in the NFL at scoring in the red zone, while the Jaguars are 19th in the NFL scoring touchdowns in the red zone. Offensively, the Chiefs obviously outmatched the Jaguars in this game. The Jaguars have an above-average defense, and they're playing well at this point in time. But through the course of the season, they have been nowhere near the level of the Chiefs offensively, throughout the whole year. Looking at the two sides of the defensive side of the ball for both teams, the Chiefs are 7th in the NFL in terms of yards per play allowed on defense. The Jaguars are 15th. In terms of passing defense, the Chiefs have the 4th best yards per play passing defense in the NFL. These are two statistics that I was a little bit surprised to see. I know the Chiefs have been slowly getting better, but I didn't know they were top 5 in passing defense in the NFL in terms of yards per play allowed. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Jaguars' passing defense is 23rd, giving up 6.4 yards per passing play. The Chiefs' defense has given up 21.7 points per game for rank of 16. Then the Jaguars have given up 20.6 points per game, ranking them 12th. So both these teams defensively are in the middle of the pack in terms of points per game allowed. Both the Chiefs and the Jaguars are good at pressuring the opposing quarterback, both hovering around 25% pressure percentage, and both teams blitz about the same frequency, about 23-24%. Where they differ in terms of their pass rush is actually getting home to the quarterback. The Chiefs are 2nd in the NFL defensively with 55 sacks. They finished the year number 2. The Jaguars, on the other hand, are 25th with only 35 sacks. So they have similar pressure percentages, similar blitz percentages, but the Chiefs are able to get 20 more sacks. So that means that the Chiefs are better at sealing the deal in terms of sacking the quarterback. I believe the Jaguars leading their sack leader only has 6 total sacks on the year. So look for the Chiefs in this game to protect Mahomes, and we'll talk about that more when we get to the keys of the game. In terms of third down percentage defensively, the Chiefs have the 13th best third down defense in the NFL, while the Jaguars have the 29th best third down defense in the NFL. Both teams have struggled in the red zone, playing red zone defense. The Chiefs have given up the 31st most, so there's a second worst red zone defense in the NFL, while the Jaguars are ranked 24th in terms of the red zone defense. The keys to this game, from my opinion, the Chiefs' passing offense versus Jacksonville's passing defense. So the Chiefs' passing offense is best in the NFL, while the Jaguars' passing defense has been well below average. So you want to see Mahomes be able to sling the ball early, and if the Chiefs are able to start throwing the ball around the field, it's going to be a long day for the Jaguars. More importantly, though, I think that this game is going to come down to which team is able to put forward the better pass rush, which team protects their quarterback better. I think this game comes down to a matchup of the trenches, and whichever team wins the sack battle is going to give themselves a better chance of winning. I think the Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite in this game, and 8.5-point favorites win 80% of the games in the NFL. So this is a heavy favor for the Chiefs. But if the Jaguars were somehow able to pull this one off, it would be because they just hassled Mahomes all day long, and they got some fortunate turnovers, and then they made some plays on offense. So I think one of the keys of this game is the offensive line, the pass protection in the trenches. Can the Jaguars do better than they did last time, giving up 5 sacks? Will they play a cleaner game? And I'm really going to be watching how the defensive lines for both teams take care of business up front and get after the opposing quarterback. Lastly, another key matchup is that we have the Chiefs' passing defense versus Jacksonville's passing offense. So as you know, the Chiefs' passing defense gives up the 4th least yards per play, so they're really good on defending the pass. And the Jaguars' passing offense has the 11th best yards per play passing offense. So something has to give here. And the first matchup, the Chiefs won this duel. They did a great job with their pass defense, keeping the Jaguars from being able to move the ball easily down the field. And they have a lot of young players who I think can play some man defense versus who the Jaguars are going to put out there on the field in terms of receiving options. So let's see how the Chiefs pass defense does. And if they're able to, 1, get after Lawrence, and then 2, they play a solid game in terms of their pass defense, I believe they'll win this game, and they'll win this game handedly. Our prediction for the game go as follows. Ryan is predicting the Chiefs win 34-24. Dan is predicting the Chiefs win 31-21. I'm predicting the Chiefs to win 38-23. And Seth is predicting the Chiefs win 34-24. What are your predictions for this game? What do you think the keys to the game are? Do you think this is a close one? Do you think the Jaguars keep it tight? Or do you think this is business as usual for the Chiefs taking care of a divisional round opponent? Mahomes is undefeated in the divisional round, going 4-0, and he has a passer rating of 114.1 in divisional round playoff games. He has absolutely dominated during the first round or during the divisional round of the playoffs. So he has a lot of success in games like these in the past, and hopefully that carries over. But that's all I've got to add for this video. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you like what you see here, and keep rocking on. Let's go Chiefs for this Saturday matchup. I hope you all enjoy the game, and I hope it's a good, clean, hard-fought victory with no injuries. Take care.